Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Jim, please read the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law statement.
The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law is enacted to ensure the regular public who have advance notice to attend meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education approved its meeting date. Notice of the meeting has been posted at the municipal building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record.
Thank you, Jim. High school student representative reports. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Good.
On the sports front, the girls varsity softball team recently advanced to the semifinals for counties, which will take place this Thursday, May 1st. In addition, both junior Sammy Booth and senior Max Turner reached their 100 hit milestone. Their current record is 10-4. The girls varsity lacrosse team hosted a game on Friday against Pequannock, April 25th, to support the Headstrong Foundation fundraiser. This is the third consecutive year the team has been raising funds for this organization that is dedicated to help fight blood cancer. The girls host the first round of counties this Friday against Morristown Deer. Boys varsity baseball recently advanced to the semifinals for counties, which will take place on Saturday, May 3rd. The boys' record is currently 10-3-1, and the boys lacrosse team recently won, actually just 30 minutes ago, beat Glen Rock 10-9.
So for clubs, on Friday, April 11th, MTHS's Gay Straight Alliance held a day of silence where students were silent for a day to call attention to the silencing effect of anti-LGBT bullying and harassment in schools. This past weekend, Montville's Forensics participated in 2 tournaments, the Southern Lehigh Spartan Invitational and the Tournament of Champions in Kentucky. At Southern Lehigh, juniors James Min and Elaine Wong closed out first and second place in varsity LD. In oratory, senior Danielle Zhang got second, and overall Montville team came in first in that tournament. At the Tournament of Champions, junior Noah Weinbach semi-finaled in the oratory round robin. On Saturday, April 26th, Key Club participated in a roadside cleanup in coordination with other town organizations for Earth Day. Students helped out from 9 to 11 a.m. And on Sunday, April 27th, International Concerns Club participated with the New Jersey March of Dimes event. This 5K is meant to raise awareness for premature births, and with 30 student walkers, Montville's ICC raised over $700 for the cause.
And at the high school, on Friday, April 25th, seniors Dan Katz and Drew Vinovich competed in the Stevens Institute of Technology's Training Day program, where they traded virtual stocks on a Wall Street simulation that the school had built. They finished 6th place overall. From April 21st through April 25th, the high school held the Spring Spirit Week for the students. Junior Asrita Batikonda was recently selected as a New Jersey Governor's School Scholar for the 31st Governor's School in the Sciences. Asrita is one student of a select few from around the state who was chosen to participate in the program at Drew University.
And for upcoming events to look forward to, the School of Rock is holding a concert on Wednesday, April 30th at 7 p.m. at the Montville Township High School Auditorium. The concert is sponsored by the Montville Township Drug Awareness Council and will benefit Montville's project graduation.
I'm sorry, what was the date on that?
It's tomorrow night, actually.
Thank you.
Is that the high school?
At 7.
Yeah.
Thank you. Getting excited for the end of the year?
Yeah, came really quick.
One
Yeah, that's
so babies.
You look smiley tonight.
It's because the lacrosse team won.
yeah, just came off when.
Good for you, thank you.
Congrats.
Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. This evening we have some wonderful presentations to make, and we're always very pleased when we can do that and honor students in our community. And we also have a wonderful presentation coming up from some students at Woodlawn School. So we'll get started with that at this time. So I think Ken Nasdaq, are you here this evening? Yes, you are. Mr. Nasdaq is the assistant principal at Montville Township High School, and I would invite him to come up and Dr. Cordolino to join him so that we can present our third quarter ShopRite Stars to some wonderful deserving students.
Good evening. Once again, it's time to acknowledge and honor our MTHS ShopRite Stars for the third marking period. Students were nominated in one of 5 categories and ultimately selected by an administrative committee. Oh, sure. I'm proud to present our winners here tonight. Please join me in congratulating them as I share some of the distinct accomplishments that led to their nomination and selection. In the field of academics, congratulations to Vivian Moe. In her nomination, Vivian was identified as one of only a few students to ever go through MTHS with a combination of dedication, intensity, and accomplishment that she's displayed. This is especially apparent when you consider the fact that over the course of 4 years, Vivian has successfully completed 13 different AP courses. In addition, she's been very active and successful in extracurricular organizations, winning various competitions in the Science Olympiad, Forensics, and FBLA to name a few. In the field of athletics, congratulations to Ethan Fox. The list of Ethan's wrestling accomplishments are too long to name, but I'll highlight a few. He was a Lenape Valley tournament champion, Morris Knolls tournament champion, placed second in the Morris County tournament, was a District 2 tournament champion, and a third place finisher at the Region 1 tournament, which qualified him for the state tournament. He finished the season with a 34-9 record and was selected to participate in the All-Star Wrestling match. In addition, Ethan is also competitive in DECA, football, and in the classroom, balancing all of his athletic accomplishments with AP classes this year. In the field of the arts, congratulations to Raymond Rubel. Many of you might recognize Ray better as the Tin Man from our recent musical, The Wizard of Oz. Without a doubt, Ray contributed to the success of the show and managed to steal several scenes from Dorothy. His other work includes being awarded an honorable mention by Paper Mill for his performance in The Wedding Singer and dancing in 66 performances in the crowd. But Ray isn't just a star on the stage. His work in Pathways teaching dance and Kung Fu to children with disabilities highlights how eclectic and special Ray is as a person. In the field of leadership, congratulations to Allison Resnick. Allison was initially nominated for her impressive work as the DECA co-president. She is also a member of the National Honor Society and the World Language Society, as well as a member of the girls' tennis team. But Allison should also be recognized for her work with the school store, having the courage and leadership to approach MTHS administration earlier in the year to bolster the school's dedication to the store's way to make money while also encouraging school spirit. Last but not least, in the field of community service, congratulations to Bridget Joyce. Bridget has dedicated herself to several worthy organizations and causes, including the MTHS Life Skills class, Montville Township First Aid Squad, Pathways, and Relay for Life. While serving our community, Bridget has also participated in DECA and Broncos cheerleading camp. She has been able to commit herself to these organizations while also maintaining an impeccable GPA and has future aspirations of employment in a service-related field, helping people in any way she can. Once again, we see how well-rounded these students are, and congratulations phenomenal accomplishment. Congratulations.
Can we ask our students to make their way up and so the Board of Education congratulate you? You can come in front of the, yeah. Congratulations to all of our award winners. Our next presentation this evening is from Woodmont School, and it's a presentation connected to our science program. And to introduce the program, I'd like to introduce Mr. Dominic Esposito, the principal of Woodmont School. Would you come up and please introduce the program tonight?
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for allowing us to present some of the wonderful things that happen every day here at Woodmont School. Earlier in our term, we were looking at a science project, the study of plant and cell life. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Brian Quinn, our 5th grade science teacher, who will expand a little bit about what his expectations were. And I'm sure you're going to be as pleased as I was, not only to see some examples of the student work, but when you hear our students present their findings and their experiences, I'm sure you'll enjoy it as much as I did. So Brian, if you could please come up.
I'm very shy in front of people, so it's going to be tough. I'm not going to talk very long because I want the brains of the operation to come on up and talk about it. But we did spend a lot of time talking about cells, and at the very end we said, let's see what we can make. So I'm going to invite my 3 excellent speakers and students to come on up and tell people about Sammy Stiller, Jennifer Kim, and Michaela Rothbuehler. So come on up, guys.
Does anyone know what the building block of life? The building block of life is the cell. It's the basic unit of all living things. In science class, we spent an extensive amount of time learning about cells and how all living things are made up of cells. These microscopic living things are really quite interesting. Just like you and me, cells need a way to take in food, turn food into energy, and get rid of waste products. There are about 10 trillion of them inside each of us right now. For the incredible cell project, we focused on plant cells and animal cells. Here to talk a little about an animal cell is Michaela Rothbuehler.
For the Incredible Cell Project, we were asked to build a model of either an animal or a plant cell. I'm sure you can tell just by looking at them that these models are a little bit bigger than an actual cell. We had some basic requirements to follow for the project. First and most importantly, we were not allowed to use any edible material to make the cells. We think it's because Mr. Quinn has eaten some of the cell project in past years, but we don't want this to happen anymore. We also have to make sure we properly label the cell's parts, including the cell membrane, which surrounds the cell, allowing certain materials to enter the cell and waste products to exit. The nucleus contains chromosomes, which include DNA. Mitochondria are the cell's power producers, and vacuoles sometimes act like stomachs, storing and breaking down material. Cytoplasm is the gluing material of the cell the cell membrane and the nucleus. Jennifer Kim will now talk about a plant cell. A plant cell has some similar parts to an animal cell, but there are some differences as well. In addition to the 5 basic features of an animal cell, which Michaela just described, a model of a plant cell also had to include a cell wall, which is a tough material surrounding the cell membrane in plant cells that provide support and protection. Chloroplast is the green part of a plant cell that uses the energy and sunlight to turn water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and sugar. Also, including the basic features of each cell, students could also earn extra credit by including some additional features of a cell, such as ribosomes, lysosomes, Golgi bodies, and endoplasmic reticulum. Whether an animal or plant cell, we were allowed to be creative with their materials, as long as it wasn't food. As you look around the room, you can see there are a wide variety of material used in the making of the cell products.
This was a fun project to do. Mr. Quinn was responsible for creating our cell models, but we, the students, were responsible for giving out the extra credit points. After reviewing each other's projects, we voted on 3 categories: the most scientific-looking project, the most attractive project, and the most disgusting project. The winners were all thrilled with winning, but we think the ones that got the most disgusting prize were the happiest. On behalf of Jennifer, Michaela, and myself, thank you for listening to our presentation this evening. Good night.
Any not so tricky questions for us?
We just want to tell you all how impressed we were with your reports and with the project itself. Very creative, imaginative, and factual as well. And we appreciate that, and very hands-on and a lot involved by the students. And we're very pleased about that. Perhaps our 3 students can come up to the board table and be congratulated with the Board of Education.
Are you going to leave your models here or take them home with you now?
They can stay with you, as long as you like. At least till 10 o'clock. Oh, we can hear nothing back.
No, you can take them home. But I would like the rest of the board.
Yeah, perhaps after we congratulate the students, the board might walk over and take a quick look at them. That would be a great thing to do, I think. Stay up here after you're done. Stay up here. Thank you again to our Woodmont students, and we want to thank their parents as well for being here tonight and supporting them. We appreciate that a great deal. The next item under our presentations this evening is something that is very special to everyone sitting up here at the Board of Education table, and that's the recognition of a former board member from the Montville Township Board of Education, and Dr. Cornelino will do the honors.
Well, I don't think there's a resident in Montville that has not been touched, and I mean touched, by Tom Mazzucaro. Tom he's a dear friend of mine, so I'll put that right out there. Tom is always willing to help. Tom is very capable. He was the director of the Montville Water and Sewer for years and years, just recently retired, and it's a loss to the municipality. Tom served on the board years ago, and then we were very lucky last January when John Allen moved to Florida to appoint Tom back on the board. And Tom certainly brought expertise. He was able to hit the ground running, and always was filled with good ideas, and not just good ideas, but oftentimes alternative ideas, and ideas that, because we don't have his background, we would not necessarily think of. Tom is always available, was a very competent board member, was always prepared, and is just a wonderful human being. There's not a thing that you can ask of Tom that he will refuse to do. Always willing to help. So while we would have liked for Tom to have stayed longer, he chose to just serve out the unexpired year of John's. And it was a loss to the board, but that's what happens in life. Boards turn over, things change. But tonight, Tom, we just wanted to recognize you. And so we have a resolution that I would like to read, and I'd like to present it to you. So come on up.
While you're coming up, Tom, they were the nice comments. And unfortunately, some of us will not speak tonight because we don't want to ruin it for you. But I think when you left the board, a lot of us said very favorable things and thank you for your service. And I again will say that you've been fine for this wonderful community, and I think everything that you've touched, you've done 110%. And on behalf of the board, and actually having known you for many, many years, thank you for your time and effort and everything.
So other board members will be able to comment. I'll read the resolution. Whereas Thomas Mazzucaro is president of the Township of Montville, and whereas Thomas Mazzucaro has been a member of the Board of Education since February 2013 to December 2013, and whereas Thomas Mazzucaro has served with distinction as a Board of Education member, and in recognition of his outstanding service to the children and community as a member of the Board of Education, now therefore be it resolved that the Montville Township Board of Education, this, the 29th day of April 2014, recognizes and applauds his commitment, service, and dedication to the Montville Township School District. Thank you, Tom. This one reads, in recognition, presented to Thomas Mazzucaro, in recognition of your outstanding service to the children and community as a member of the Montville Township Board of Education, February 2013 to December 2002. I couldn't think of a more deserving serving years. Board and then Tom, feel free.
Yeah, Karen, Tom, nothing I haven't told you, but I'll say it publicly that you are the consummate professional. It was an absolute pleasure to work with you. As Karen said, you brought a sense of fresh ideas and great logic to the board. You were here for a short time, but you made a huge impact, and we miss you dearly.
And I just have one thing to say also, Tom, it's been a pleasure working with you and serving along with you on behalf of the children of this community, and I've appreciated your guidance and your support along the way. And 2 plaques really are not enough. We decided we didn't like how the plaque, the top one you have, came out, so we're making the company redo it. They certainly won't want that one back. It has your name on it already, but you'll actually have a 3rd one once we get it. So,
Thank you, Doc.
You'll be billed for the second.
Charlie's going to pay for it, though.
You know, it's been my pleasure to serve on this board, maybe more so than your pleasure, but most of you are my friends. You're all my friends, actually. And I do have a clock that was given to me when I was on the board the last time, and it's still running. So that was back in the 90s, so did a good job then. But I have to say that I think, and I don't think, but I know for a fact that this board, present board that sits here and I've sat with, and the administration, and the staff of this school system, I think our residents, our parents, our grandparents, and anybody who's involved with education should know that this is one of the finest, unequal in this county, at least, maybe the state. And I'm very proud to have served here, and I wish you a lot of luck going forward, but I know it'll be fine, especially under Dr. Freed's. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Sue, are we all going to give our picture?
our final presentation this evening is our public hearing and final adoption of the 2014-2015 school district budget. Those of you who follow the Board of Education and come to our meetings will notice that this presentation is the same as it's been over the last couple of presentations, but this will be the night that the board adopts the final budget. So I'm going to move through the presentation fairly rapidly. We start with our mission statement and our district student learning goals, which connect with effective teaching, professional development, looking at the Common Core curriculum, part testing, school culture, musicals, looking at our world language program, the original science research program, planning for the renovation of the high school media center, looking at our college level courses and middle school scheduling. And as we look at the future, opportunity and high expectations for all, student engagement and teacher effectiveness, creating passionate learners in inclusive and collaborative settings, maintaining excellence, becoming a district of distinction. Our academic proposals include maintaining class size, maintaining our programs, and new initiatives. Our elementary school proposals, Here we see a reduction of one teacher at Cedar Hill based on enrollment. I have, in fact, been doing a lot of inquiry into Cedar Hill in particular with regard to the present first grade classes there. And I've met with a number of individuals who have involvement in the programs for Cedar Hill first grade, including the administration of the school, case managers, reading specialists, my own central office members, our special education administration. We've had various individuals who have been observing, including myself, and ultimately tonight I want to bring a recommendation to the Board of Education to create an additional section of second grade for Cedar Hill School for next year. So we will not have the reduction of one teacher at Cedar Hill. We would recommend an additional teacher at Cedar Hill. And I believe in talking to Jim Tevis, our business administrator, that we have money within our elementary salary budget based on retirements where the breakage between the senior teachers retiring and a teacher remaining or a newer teacher coming into the district will allow for that without increasing the budget. Is that correct?
That is correct, Dr. Freeman.
Okay. Continuing under elementary school, we'll have Chromebooks that do our technology initiatives at our elementary schools, and the district putting $125,000 toward increasing the air conditioning throughout the schools. Continuing, we have two-hour per day lunch recess aids, some money for summer kindergarten screening, and summer support for our schools. At Lazar Middle School, additional time for guidance counselors in the summer, school nurses in the summer, $20,000 to support Lazar Living Lessons, Chromebooks and carts to support instruction in the humanities department, additional busing as required in order to support on-time pickup and return of students to their homes, and 2 additional school clubs, set design, and school newspaper. We're also talking about, now we move on to Montville Township High School, and we're planning to add an additional school assistance counselor to help our students with their social and emotional needs, 2 science teachers. One is to help, they're both to help the increase in our science research program, as our students now will become seniors in that program next year, and we'll have a full complement of students who are sophomores, juniors, and seniors. Also, we're offering expansion of our science classes, in that we're offering both biology and earth science in grade 9, and the addition of 1 world language teacher. We have several new course offerings, including tomorrow's teachers in AP Computer Science, and we are going to be asking our high school administration to come before the board and community later this spring and talk to the board about the new offerings and some other new initiatives at the high school. I think you'll be very excited about those. So Doug Sanford, our high school principal, and their administrator will be here to talk about those. We're adding, we have the expansion of the research-based humanities program, and we're excited about that, and continuation, as I mentioned, of our science research program. Which one? That's the picture? Okay. So we also are adding 4 additional school clubs to Montville Township High School: the Gay Straight Alliance, a literary magazine, the History Club, and the Mandarin Honor Society. We're adding a stipend position for an auditorium manager to help manage the auditorium, make sure that it's functioning well, and it's really a timely position. We're putting new sound system and new lighting system into our auditorium, and of course it will be in more demand than ever as it becomes modernized, and 4 mellophones for the marching band. Under special services, a special education teacher at the high school, a .6 teacher for Wilson Reading at Lazar, occupational therapists increasing from .8, that's 4 days a week, both to increasing to full-time, and a secretary at Lazar increasing from 10 months to 12 months, and also putting forward the IEP Direct system, which takes the place of TINET. This is by far a better system, was highly recommended to us, and training for that has already been underway, and most of our special education teachers have already been trained in IEP Direct as we get ready for next year. Under technology proposals, 1 additional technician to help support the technology that's coming into our schools and help support our park testing as well, an interactive response system in Hilldale Schools, a pilot program, see how that works, and Chromebooks and cards, and more details will come under capital improvements. Under their athletics, an assistant coach for golf, this way the girls team can be in golf matches on their own with supervision, a winter track assistant coach, a spring track assistant coach, and a replacement golf cart. In professional development, we continue with our Danielson training for both administrators and teachers. School improvement panels will now have some money in their building budgets so that they can in fact help support professional development that's building-based, which is part of the new teacher evaluation model. Wilson training, science research training, as we move from 2 science research teachers to 3, we're training 1 additional teacher this summer. Training for AP courses and support the new teacher evaluation model. And we also have a small amount of money for district curriculum development. Okay, we now move to capital and maintenance proposals, and I'll turn this over to Mr. Tevis, our business administrator.
Thank you, Dr. Freed. Just want to take a few brief minutes and just review some of the capital and facility improvements that are included in the 14-15 budget for you. Before I get into that, I just want to mention again that this presentation will be posted to the district's website by sometime later tomorrow. You're going to see two spots in there for the budget. One is for the presentation. The other is going to be noted as the user-friendly budget that has been posted there as well. That's basically in the format of our advertised budget. And if anybody has questions, again, I would urge you, by all means, please feel free to reach out to me by email or phone. I'm always available to answer questions, especially when it comes to some of the more detailed slides. There's a number of basic maintenance and facility initiatives that we're doing at each one of our 7 schools. At a number of elementary schools, we're doing initiatives such as installation and fixing a number of blinds, painting of classrooms, hallways, placement of playground mulch. We also have initiatives at a few of our elementary schools to do carpet removal and tile replacement. And again, replacement of like safety and damaged ceiling tile, that's just basic maintenance. This tends to be done over the summer. Valley View, William Mason, Woodmont, again, really much the same maintenance initiatives that I mentioned before. At the middle school, we have one project that we has been looked at for a number of years. We're going to take on that initiative this year, and that's to replace the classroom clocks throughout the entire building. At the high school, we have a number of facility initiatives, again, surround the athletics department. We are right now actually in the middle of the improvement project for the athletic playing fields, and this has to do with moving the playing field behind the Lazar Middle School due to the new power lines that have recently gone in behind those schools. We've actually, we're going to be opening bids sometime towards the end of May and hoping to award and actually looking to begin construction on that project. We can remain on our calendar sometime at the beginning of June. The sprinkler system replacement is actually part of that project. Locker rooms, we're looking to do some drop ceilings. We included in the budget, and this 14-15 budget initiative to upgrade the auditorium sound and lighting systems. We're looking to do a theatrical quality type of system in there, first grade. Embarking on the second phase of our door replacement project at the high school, and we're going to be doing some ADA compliance initiatives. We're putting in a lift over at the auditorium, handicapped accessible lift, and we're going to be doing a handicapped accessible section of the bleachers down on the football field. District-wide, we're looking to do phase 2 or second year of our building air conditioning initiative, primarily at the elementary schools. Some concrete and curb work, and then some basic maintenance vehicles, replacement maintenance vehicles that we do annually within our budgets. I'm just going to turn it back over to Dr. Free for the technology initiative.
Yes, thanks, Jim. So under the technology part of the new capital improvements, you'll notice that we're purchasing 840 Chromebooks. That has to do with the number of Chromebooks that we need, or devices we need, in order to make sure that our park testing next year, when in fact we have to test for real, goes smoothly. That's the minimum number that we need in order to facilitate that, that testing situation. Those 840 Chromebooks will be tied up for a number of weeks each year connected to that testing, but when they're not being used for testing, they will be distributed throughout our schools so that our teachers and students can be using them for instructional purposes, and we're very excited about that. One of the first professional development initiatives we have planned is for our teachers to begin to work with our technology coach, Andrea Wallace, in this regard, so that they can begin to effectively use the Chromebooks in different ways to help with the instructional process. We'll also be, of course, having the Chromebook carts, which they are stored in, and also which help recharge them. There's 30 Chromebooks in each cart, and so we need 28 carts for those 840 Chromebooks. We're also ordering an additional 120 Chromebooks for the Humanities Research Program at the high school to expand that project, as we mentioned before, and carts to go along with those. There's also 30 tablets being bought for the Humanities Research Program, and some furniture, and at Lazar, an additional 90 Chromebooks for the Humanities department there, and the carts to go along with those. So we imagine that at the elementary schools we'll have a minimum of 90 per school distributed. So at any time of the year, except for those testing weeks, each of our elementary schools should have a minimum of 90 Chromebooks to be able to use. And this way, an entire grade level, for example, can be involved in a project having to do with those. And our students will get much more experience in keyboarding and at using research to help support their work. Also, the internet bandwidth is being upgraded, both the service and the hardware, wireless network upgrade, and as part of an ongoing project, rewiring Woodmont School.
Another ongoing facility initiative is going to be second year or second phase of a security initiative. So we're looking at window tinting in a number of schools and some other confidential initiatives which we've set aside some money for. Essentially, the budget that's before the board and the public this evening via the public hearing is essentially the same bottom line as what was preliminarily adopted back on March 18th. One big difference is $400,000 that had been was being moved into the capital reserve account specifically for the media center project that's been talked about. $600,000 was moved and specifically reserved or deposited into our capital reserve account for the media center projects in the current 13-14 school year. When we presented the preliminary budget to the county superintendent of schools, they kind of looked at it from a statutory code technicality way, if you will, and they basically said, you really shouldn't be doing it through the budget process because you haven't actually done an application to the Department of Education yet for this project. Instead, because this is in our long-range facility plan, which it is, we should simply do it by board resolution after June 1st of this year. So we're going to have the exact same end result Just instead of moving 400,000 or depositing 400,000 for this project through the budget process now, public hearing today, we're simply going to do it by board resolution at our June 3rd board meeting. So that's really the only change to the preliminary budget that has been made. The additional teaching staff that was recommended by Dr. Freed a few moments ago in the elementary school, that's not going to necessitate a change in the actual budget itself. The appropriation won't change, in other words, the bottom line expense, because we're going to be utilizing anticipated salary breakage. All that is we have retirements that we learned of after the preliminary budget was adopted. Those teaching staff that are retiring are generally higher up on the guide, and we anticipate bringing or replacing them in with newer teachers that are going to be lower on the guide, usually step 1, step 2. The difference being what we refer to as breakage. So because of the number of the staff that was retiring happened to be elementary school staff, we have more than enough salary breakage, we have a comfortable enough margin that's how we utilize these 2 additional elementary school teaching staff. So basically, just to run through a couple of simple financial highlights. Again, this is a 2% local tax levy increase, which is the cap. However, the board could have increased beyond that had they wished by utilizing something referred to as bank cap. This is a very fiscally prudent board. The years that I've been here, 5.5 years now as a business administrator. So they're staying with the 2% local tax levy increase. The budget, entire operating expense budget is 0.88%, less than 1% increase in the entire total operating on the budget. The budget, as I said, contains a number of new educational facility initiatives. This is the second year now, I believe, that Dr. Freed and I have been able to stand up here before the public and the board, and instead of just getting a status quo budget, be able to add some exciting both educational and facility initiatives. We hope to continue to be able to do that. The bottom line budget here represents an actual tax increase to the average home of $140. The average home, assessed home value in Montville right now is $528,000. Number of shared services, you'll actually see these if you pull up the presentations or the user-friendly budget via our website. You'll see the number of shared services that we routinely participate in. We continue to explore new shared services every year, especially in the area with our township. State aid, same presentation I presented back at the end of February. We had a slight increase in our state aid of about roughly $80,000 with 13-14 school year. This is the detail, or that the spreadsheet that's a little bit busy to look at. This is the one, again, I would urge you to pull it up on the website or simply contact me with questions. But it highlights the highlights of the last few budgets. Unfortunately, this light's right in my way, so it's a little difficult for me to see the last. But essentially, if you look towards the middle and you look towards the very right-hand column, that's the proposed 14-15 budget. You see that 2% number in bold. That's the local tax levy cap of 2%. So we increased the revenue 2% over the previous 13-14. And if you look, and I refer to that bank cap number, and if you look to the far left, you see the 1,000,000, I believe it's 574,000, another 152,000. The board could have increased the budget past the 2% cap. It's referred to, without having to get voter approval for that. Of course, then the offset to that is they have to pay for it. And typically, you would have to raise taxes to do that. And this board chooses not to do that because, I believe it would be very fiscally prudent when it comes to that. And that being said, if you look down towards the bottom again, you can see the last couple of years comparison in the tax increase itself. And that is the presentation of the public hearing. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to the board.
Does the board have any questions for Jim at this time?
I have a question. I do have a comment, though. We've increased the budget by, I believe, 2 teachers since the original budget. One at Woodmont, one at Cedar Hill.
That's correct.
Board policy would have allowed us to reduce those classes, but Dr. Freed, in his wisdom, I believe, made the right decision based upon the educational needs of the students and put the 2 teachers back in the budget. So I commend him for that. I also commend Jim just for putting together another very good budget, it's fiscally responsible, we're in good financial shape, and I think we owe both of them a debt of gratitude. And just one other comment too. We did make a decision about a month or so ago to go from 1.75 to 2.0 on the cap, to put a little more money in the budget. And I think as it turns out, that's probably about what those extra 2 teachers come to. So I feel somewhat vindicated by the fact we did that. But again, kudos to Dr. Freed, kudos to Jim, you've done another great job as always.
Thank you, Mr.
Without belaboring it, I agree with what Mike said. Mr. Tevis, Dr. Freed, the two of you have made this process so much more bearable. Thank you for your guidance and your intuition.
Thank you.
Ditto.
Short and sweet.
Let's hope we can keep it all, considering there's $800 million deficit in the state budget. Any other comments? Okay. Anyone in the public, I will open it up now to comments from the public on the agenda, I'm sorry, on the budget. Okay, I will close that then. Nice job.
Karen, I couldn't come eating a cookie, but I also would like to thank the administration for the budget presentation. It's nice to see a little change every time for the last 5 presentations, but again, thank you very much.
Welcome, Mr. Gray.
Jim, did you have any other report to give?
Yeah, just very quick, yes. Yes, I just want to brief the board on 3 projects actually that we're currently working on. One is actually a donation, and it's on this evening's agenda, Administrative Resolutions J.1.2 and J.1.3. It is the donation of the crosswalk, concrete crosswalk at the high school. It's going to be set over down on the football field on the home side bleachers down below the tennis court. We received some funds recently by the donor, which allowed us to then retain our architect to go and submit an application to the Department of Education, which is required. We've already got that application to the point where the package is actually set on my desk. I've actually signed off on it at this point. We anticipate being able to actually send it down to Trenton by the end of this week. As soon as we receive approval then back from the Department of Ed, we get the permits issued from the town and be able to start construction on that. I'll keep the board up to date where we are progress-wise. Second facility initiative, it was mentioned in the presentation, is the athletic playing fields improvement project. And that's to synthetically turf a portion of the baseball fields, on the upper fields over there at the high school. We've actually retained a design professional at this point, Niggling Engineering. We've finalized the design concept, set up a bid calendar. The bid was actually advertised today, and we will be opening bids on May 19th. And we're hoping, if all goes well, weather permitting and all that, we're looking to hopefully kick off construction as soon as the baseball season ends, somewhere potentially around the first week of June or so. Just one other quick project I want to update the board on. This is one that is going to be for the summer of 2015, and it involves that $400,000 deposit to capital reserve I referred to, and that's the media center project. We actually solicited proposals for a design professional to help us oversee concepts for renovations to our media center at the high school. We received 5 proposals. They've been sent out to a committee that's been formed, I guess. That committee's actually been in place for some time now at the high school, I believe.
That's correct.
So those proposals have been sent out to the committee. An evaluation form has been sent. Dr. Freed's going to schedule a meeting, I guess sometime in the next week, 2 weeks, with the entire committee. We'll review the proposals, evaluate them, and bring in and actually interview candidate firms and make a recommendation to the board. And that is my report this evening.
Any questions for Jim? Okay, thank you, Jim. Committee reports, facilities and finance?
We have a message sled.
policy. Mike?
Actually met last night and discussed some new policies which are going to go on the agenda for first reading at our next board meeting. They include revisions to policies number 141 and 143, which have to do with board member number and term and board member election and appointment. And mandated policy 1581, victims of domestic or sexual violence. It allows leave for people who have been victims or in the family. Policy numbers 3125 and 4125, mandated policies having to do with employment of teaching staff members and employment of support staff members. Revision to policy number 3240, professional development for teachers and school leaders. Revision to policy number 9120, public information program. Revision to our policy 9400, news media relations. And a revision to our regulation 2340 having to do with field trips. Again, these will all go on for first reading at the next meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mike? John, you gave a report from the last state and security. Under ad hoc, I'll give a report on the April 21st, on April 21st, the board of some members of the Board of Education and some members of the Town Council met for a joint meeting, a joint subcommittee meeting. The members of the board were Charlie, myself, and Mike. I think David Bojack was there as well. We talked about a variety of items. These are always very healthy and productive meetings. We talked about student parking along Horse Neck Road. It's going to be marked out for our high school students, lined. We have a successful recycling program that we have with the township. It saves everybody money. We talked about other shared services that are potential. Just other items that always help improve the relationship between the board and the town. Under delegate liaisons, the first one is New Jersey School Boards Association. They are having their delegate assembly meeting on May 17th. Morris County School Boards. There have been some meetings that are being held with our local legislators. The most recent was with Senator Panaccio. The focus of the meeting are two bills that are currently in the legislature that have to do with elimination of the superintendent's salary cap, and school districts all over Morris County are very interested in seeing these bills move forward and pass. We had five districts represented at the meeting with Senator Panaccio, ourselves included. Mike Palma attended the meeting with me. We also had two Montville parents attend. And I can assure you that the presence of the parents really does catch the legislators' attention.
Karen, I think Michael Brown was there also, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I was there as well. Sorry, Mike. So thank you to the parents for attending. We're meeting with Assemblyman Bucco for the same purpose on May 2nd. Tomorrow night, the Morris County School Board Association is having their last meeting of the school year, and one of the highlights, certainly, of the evening will be the Cedar Hill 5th Grade Character Education Committee, who will be presenting a program to school districts throughout Morris County. So I am very excited about this. I'm sure the children are, and Mrs. L is. So it's just thrilled to be able to have them present at that meeting. I think they're going to wow the socks off of all the attendees. Anything from Morris County Educational Services? Jack?
Yeah, I met with them a couple of weeks ago, and again, I just want to reiterate what Shannon said. I think what Shannon said about the School of Rock concert tomorrow night at the high school, which is sponsored by DAC. It's geared towards Lazar, and they're just a great show. If no one's ever seen them, you need to make it a point to be there. And the closest thing I can think of is just kind of like a real life version of the TV show Believe. They're just that good, and I strongly encourage anyone to attend.
Thanks, Mike. Les? Mustang Association, Mike?
I've reported on the April meeting and our previous meeting.
Thank you.
Mustangs again will meet again on May 7th.
Okay, PTC liaison, Seaver Hill, I attended the April 23rd meeting. We talked a little bit about how the park testing went and upcoming ask. I had to leave the meeting early, so we spoke a little bit about the budget process. And at that point in time, just that Dr. Freed had been looking into the issue of the first grade teacher. Any other PTC reports?
Valley View, the meeting was postponed, but was rescheduled and held on April 22nd. The topics included the organization field day, their fundraising efforts, their scholarship, which they present each year, and book sale. They'll be meeting again on May 14th.
Wouldn't mind, if I'm not mistaken, you met tonight, didn't you, Terry? Just briefly to adopt bylaws or something? Yeah. Obviously, I couldn't be there.
And just to briefly mention, we've been meeting with, members of the board have been meeting with Montville Township as well as Lincoln Park. This was, I think, the third time we met, and it's really just to exchange ideas and explore possible areas for sharing. So I wanted the public to know that we network and we're always looking for opportunities to improve our programs, improve our district, and save money. Charlie was there at that meeting. I think that was all. So I think the public should be aware of that. There's no other committee reports or comments. I'll open it up to the public for any comments on the agenda items. Items on the agenda. Okay, I'll close public participation. Motion for I group O.
Motion. So,
John and Frank. Okay, any discussion on the minutes? Item J, administrative. K. L. M. Yes, Charlie.
I'm listed there for page 16, M1. I'm listed for going to a conference. I will be attending the conference. I do not expect to be reimbursed. I had asked the administration to take this off the agenda, so I'd like to have it removed now, if nobody objects.
So the makers of the motion agree to remove the item, right?
Just eliminate one completely.
Yep, that's M11. Yes. There are no policy. I would ask that we are going to go back into closed session so the public is aware. So I'm going to ask the makers of the motion to just amend the date to, should we just change it to tonight? Or we have this?
You do have D, is your closed session if needed. I think we could just move D as well.
Why don't we just take O out for now? Is that okay? With the makers of the motion? We're going to just remove O for now. Roll call?
I'm sorry, just
We're going to remove O for now. We have to go back into closed, and O says that our next closed session will be May 6th, when it's not, it'll be tonight. So it's amended.
Understood. Okay, Mr. Morello?
Yes.
Mr. Cooney?
Yes.
Mr. Grau?
I'm staying on the March 4th meeting. Yes on everything else as amended.
Mr. O'Brien?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Yes.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Kane?
Yes.
Dr. Cornelius?
Yes, as amended, except abstain on M1, 6, and 7.
Motion's passed.
Okay, thank you. So, with advice from our attorney, how do we deal with that?
Two things. First, since we're going to go back to closed session, recommendations, the board passed a resolution, and it's on your agenda as D.
What do you mean is D?
D, letter D is the closed session that the board can pass a resolution to go tonight. The board will still have to pass another resolution to go to closed session at the start of the next week. So there will be two resolutions, one to go to closed session tonight, and then O would be revised.
So motion for D and motion for O. Okay.
And D, motion O would be revised to be May 20th.
Does everyone get that? For the sake of the public, it's been the recommendation of the administration that we not have the May 6th meeting since it's next week. So we'll be meeting on May 20th. So we're changing May 6th to May 20th. So, motion for D, item D on the agenda, and O as amended to May 20th.
So,
Second.
Mike and John? Thank you. Oh, that was what's coming. Yep, roll call.
Mr. Palmer?
yes.
Mr. Morello?
Yes.
Mr. Cooney? Yes. Mr. Grau? Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Dr. Kane?
Yes.
Dr. Cornelius?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Any old business, additional reports, general board comments? Okay, so we will adjourn to closed session. Oh, sorry, public, thank you. And for anything, on the agenda, off the agenda? No? Okay. We are going into close, but there will be no action taken when we complete close, so we'll be adjourning our meeting from closed session, so you won't be missing anything. Good night and thank you. Motion to go to close?
So,
Mike, and second?
Okay. You don't have to stay until they come back? I don't know.
Yeah.
We're not using it for that right now. That should help. You're right, that should help, yeah.
Okay, so keep me posted on that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, yeah, and then just, you know, like, this is a particular one, there's also a lot of. Oh, Mac. Not that old, but I'm not getting old. I will, thank you so much.
All right, good to see you.
It's just, that's really so. Of course, the big word would be if the governor comes along and steals something. Yes, well, he's
Jim?
In your opinion, when